So finally, after 3 months of planning, getting liveries together, getting the calendar together, NTRL finally returns to Gran Turismo 7. This is my racing league. It's going to be split into 4 different categories, and today we're going to focus on the Honda NSX Cup at Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise. So in terms of the cars themselves, they're going to be split into 3 different classes, giving different people a chance to win different classes. Again, this is going to ensure that it is competitive throughout the field, with drivers able to choose their own cars. Up first, we have the NSX Type R from 1992, 284 brake horsepower, 1230 kilograms, naturally aspirated MR layout on the standard sport soft tyres, which will be run in this league. Second up, for the second class, we have the NSX Type R02. This is a 2002 generation, a little bit different from the 92, 290 brake horsepower, 1270 kilograms, naturally aspirated once again, MR layout once again, and again on the sport soft tyres, which will be run for all 3 of these classes. Again, a bit quicker than the 92, and there should be a fair few close battles between those 2. However, we do have the NSX 17, completely different beast. This one, 570 brake horsepower, 1780 kilograms, turbocharged, 4-wheel drive, and once again on the sport soft compound of tyres. This is obviously going to be the quickest of the bunch and should realistically be in its own complete battle from the rest of the field. Now, in terms of the format itself, so it's going to be 8 rounds, so it's going to be hosted over 8 different rounds at 8 different tracks. There's going to be a 10-minute qualifying followed by a 15-minute race, and that is going to be how the Honda NSX Cup is going to work in terms of a championship. So we're going to send out our NTRL safety car for the Honda Championship out on track to give you a little rundown of where to keep an eye out for in terms of this Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise layout. Turn 1 there is a tricky left-hander. You get it wrong and end up in the barrier, you're going to lose a ton of momentum down the main straight. In terms of this right-hander here, it's essentially a triple right-hander and then a quick little left-hander. Now, the awkward part here is that you are constantly in a right turn until all of a sudden you're going to have to switch back left. Get it wrong here, you can end up with a time penalty for corner cutting, or once again run it wide into the barrier and lose a ton of momentum as you drag yourself uphill for this little right-hander here. Now, this one here is pretty much almost blind until all of a sudden you'll see the exit of the corner, meaning that you need to get the power down ready for the very fast section at the tunnel entrance. Towards the end of the tunnel, however, you've got this section here which is going to take you left and then very quickly to the right. Again, it's all about keeping momentum. You may require a bit of a lift there to keep the car going before you get into this very heavy braking zone, the heaviest on the entire track and one of the heaviest in the entire game, honestly. You've got a very awkward right-hander here that is going to loop itself around. Get it wrong, you can end up straight on into the barrier there in the background, or get it too wide on exit and you can end up in the barrier and losing momentum uphill. Next up, we've got consecutive corners, so it's going to be a right-hander followed by a left-hander followed by a quick right-hander and then the final corner, which is another left-hander. Now again, it's quite easy to block and be defensive through there, so overtaking is a bit of a premium through a lot of this track. However, if you get that final left-hander wrong and end up in the barrier, you're going to lose a ton of momentum on the start-finish straight, meaning that, well, you can pretty much become a sitting duck very easily, and that is going to complete a lap of Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise. So let's get the season underway. Mainly 2017 models on the kind of front of the grid there, as they're going to launch away with a 4-wheel drive. Jody getting away through as well after a fairly poor qualifying put her back. Looking like Steve's got the outside line there and going to be able to cover that position off from Nizam as they go into turn 1. Mira and Timo definitely getting a nice launch away there. Steve does manage to get that position covered off, tucking into the slipstream of Timo up there in P2, with Nizam trying to come back and Jody also now in the fight for the 2017s. A little bit further back, we've got mainly 2002 model NSX cars, a few 92s mixed in there with myself and Jace there, but to be honest, apart from that, it is mainly just an 02 battle for the second obviously bunch of the grid, really. Everyone kind of battling for different positions here and jostling about. Jody runs a little bit wide there. She's going to end up in the barrier, just narrowly avoiding contact there, as Stuart then ends up running wide after avoiding Jody and putting Coda in the barrier there. He's going to lose a ton of momentum. The car's very much bunched up, so you know, a very lethal combination here at the lights of the you know, Tokyo Expressway. Very enclosed, very tight. At the rear though, we do end up having Sean as well, just a little bit back from the rest. Coming towards the end of lap 1 now, Mira is beginning to pull away from Timo, who is also beginning to pull away from sort of the best of the rest there, as the likes of Nizam and Steve continue to battle on. However, they are currently being caught by the rest of the pack. This is the trouble at Tokyo Expressway. If you ended up hitting in walls and losing momentum, then you can guarantee the pack is going to begin to swallow you. Allowing some of those slower vehicles into the slipstream isn't the best idea, considering that they can probably quite easily on the top end hold in there with you, regardless of how much power you've got. Whilst, don't get me wrong, the 17s are going to eventually pull away towards the end of the straight. At least at the beginning, it's going to keep the pack in there with you. As you can see up front, in lead of the 92 is myself, battling away with the lead of the O2 actually, which is going to be Shikata. Just behind myself there, we do have Jace, who's beginning to close up on this battle. Here again is going to be my main contender really for the majority of this race, and in regards to the 92 battle that is going on track. Shikata's got a bit of leg room though, as he's got two 92s in between him, with Viper currently sat in P2 in class. So let's have a look with Jace here. As you can see, he's closing the gap up there, just sitting in the slipstream, waiting to pick his moment, probably as we go through the tunnel. He is going to try and have a cheeky look on the inside. It isn't going to quite pull off, but again, all of these cars sort of stuck in there, just slipstreaming each other and helping each other along. So as we continue into the tunnel, it is side by side, both class leaders for the O2 and 92, myself and Shikata battling away. We're just going to sit out of that one and sort of drop back into the slipstream. As you can see, Jace now trying to go around the outside, looking like he does get that one done, and he's now going to inherit the lead of the 2002 class. A bunch of cars kind of grinding off the wall there. We're going to attempt to go down the inside. Let's see if we can get this one right, or are we going to overshoot it? Yes we are. So we're going to get it nice and sideways. We do manage to keep control of the car, which is you know, quite thankful. We didn't end up falling too far into the pack there, but Jace now does have the lead of the 92 class. Onto lap 3, and we're going to see our first proper accident of the day, with Tony basically going for a nice little spin there after catching one of the vehicles ahead of him. Sadly, that's going to drop him all the way back to the bottom of the grid, and sadly a ton of work to do in terms of that 2002 battle that's going on. So on to lap 4, and as you can see, we've got Shikata in the O2 class, basically pushing for an overall podium position there, just in behind Nizam, who is obviously going to have the legs on the straight. Then you've got a 92, which is myself, a couple more O2s, and another 92 with Jace. We also have Jody, who ends up going into the side of me there, Steve running wide as well, so he's basically going to be swallowed by the pack. So Jody getting her elbows out, she ends up, you know, kind of getting through in the end, but this is going to allow the battle in the 92 class to heat up, as Jace is also going to get his elbows out and get himself through and up into the lead of the 1992 cars. As you can see, most of the pack beginning to sort of group up once again, really from sort of like P3 all the way back to the likes of P14. There isn't really much in it. It's just kind of a whole swarm of cars with a few cars left stranded just a little bit back. So we've got a whole hustle of different cars here. We've got 92s, O2s, a couple of 17s as well. Steve also trying to, you know, make up for that big wide run there where the pack ended up swallowing him. He should have the legs to get a few positions moved as we work our way up, as Coda ends up sliding off into the wall there, just holding up. I think that was Dave just behind him. So yeah, you know, quite a bit going on throughout this grid here. So let's go on to lap 5 now, and we'll also cover lap 6 in this part. As you can see, Mira's pretty much broke away at this point, almost guaranteed the win, with Timo just behind him. Pretty lonely races for those two, definitely kind of keeping themselves out of the pack, but points are points, and that's realistically what you need to be doing, especially somewhere here at the likes of Tokyo Expressway, where it's all enclosed, and once you get in the pack, this kind of stuff will happen. So as you can see, the battle for P3 now between Nizam and Jody. Jody. So looking like Jody got a bit of a better run down the main straight there, but she is going to be on the outside for the right-hander here. Just a little bit behind we have the likes of Viper, who now basically inherits the O2 lead if you can keep it on that inside line and get it covered off from Shikata. But looking like Shikata did get a bit of a better drive there. Viper getting held up, and that's going to allow myself to try and get it around the outside there and try and hold on to the lead of the 92. So Jody does drop a little bit back, again using the legs to pull away there from the O2 92 kind of mixed class there, which is going on. Steve also kind of still kind of caught up in the pack there. So yeah, up front here, nice close battling really, as the group gets a little bit more spread out. A little bit further back though, towards the end of lap 5, just kind of tailing off from the sort of main group that we've just seen, is Coda sort of leading the battle here from Sean and Tony, who again had that off there on lap 3, sort of on his big catch-up I guess stretch at this point, and Dave just a little bit behind. So plenty of action up and down the grid. We do have a car that is a little bit off from the rest there, which is going to be Braggy, who's sort of just dropped off there probably after an accident, kind of at the sort of midpoint of the race there. And yeah, up front though, it's still high up on lap 6. Jace now trying to go for the 92 lead. As you can see, I did end up running quite a bit wide there. He's then going to get his elbows out once again at a similar spot to earlier. Again, Turbo Boy in the O2 there trying to get involved as a stand-in for this round. Jace does get it done though, and pretty much covers it off with around about a lap to go in terms of the overall timer. So we're going to go on board with myself just coming out of the tunnel there. Again, just trying to hold back on this sort of long sweeping section. The last thing you want to do is catch a car there and just send them into the barrier. We're going to try around the outside here of Jace, so let's see if we're going to get this one done to re-inherit the lead. Again, another one of these 17s, I believe, going wide there of Steve. We do manage to get that position done and get the lead back in terms of the 92 class. So on to lap 7 and the final lap of the race. Nizam is just starting to sort of stretch his legs there and get ahead of the other 2017 cars, that being Jody and obviously Steve, who's managed to finally get himself back sort of into contention with the rest of his class and the overall race. Shikata leads the O2 class with myself leading the 92. Turbo Boy just a little bit back. Obviously, if anything could happen to me, that could leave Shikata then vulnerable to attack for the 2002 class. Viper just a little bit back in P9, Coda P10, Jace just a little bit further back there for the second of the 92 cars. So a little bit of breathing room there for myself. In terms of the overall win though, it will go to Jay Mira, who takes the win in class and obviously the overall sort of gold medal on this occasion. Silver or second place is going to go to Timo. Again, a very quiet race for both him and Mira at the front. In terms of the rest of the field though, Nizam did just have the legs in the end to bring his car up and across the line and take overall P3 and P3 in class for the 17s. The winner of the 92 is going to be myself overall in P4, P6 for Shikata as he takes the O2 class win. All the cars sort of coming across the line at once there, apart from a few cars at the back with Dave and Sean bringing up the final positions. So class winners for round 1 for the 2017 category. It's going to be Mira who takes the win, putting himself in a great position for the rest of the season. I have a feeling it's going to be very close between himself and obviously Timo, who finished P2. In terms of the O2, it went to Shikata in the end, again taking a nice easy victory for class. And then myself, after a long battle with Jace pretty much throughout the entire time, kind of took the 92 victory there in the end. Again, I feel like it's going to be a fairly close battle all season with Jace, so looking good for round 2. So thank you so much for joining me for round 1 of the NSX Cup. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to bring my racing league back after around about 3 months. There's been a ton of planning, whether that be liveries, the calendar, and then obviously the Christmas period kind of putting it back, server issues, but finally we did manage to get it underway. Now there's 3 other categories that are going to be run. That'll be the GT Championship, which is multi-class between Group 4 and Group 3. Teams Championship as well in that one. But then we have another solo one, which is going going to be our rally championship, mixed surface for that one, so a mix of snow, dirt and tarmac rallying. That is going to be up in a few days as well. And then finally, to finish it off, we have our endurance championship, which is a mix of LMP1 machinery and group 3 machinery. Again, teams battles in that one as well. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.